In a drug-fueled month-long crime spree, Chantel Rustil committed 2 burglaries which culminated in a third which ended in bloody violence. The 27-year-old was told she did not care a jot what harm she caused after the aggravated burglary in April this year. Rustil previously pleaded guilty to 2 burglaries and an aggravated burglary. She appeared at Hull Crown Court on Monday for sentencing. The court heard that on March 9 Rustil climbed up to an open window of a homeless hostel run by Doorstep in Annandale Road in East Hull. She reached inside and managed to grab 3 handbags. She then escaped via fire exit. Less than a month later she climbed onto a Perspex roof at a garden center area of the Morrison's supermarket in Holderness Road on April 6. Rustil then tried to steal a tree before security arrived and told her to come down. She threatened them, saying she had a knife and needles and would stab them. Rustil then grabbed a trowel and made a hole in the roof to try and escape, but she was arrested at the scene. But just 2 days after being charged and bailed for these offenses, Rustil went to a block of flats in Murfield Grove, East Hull on April 9. She approached 2 men in the communal garden of the block of flats before entering their property, thinking it was empty and attempting to steal a PlayStation 5. However, the wife of one of the men was inside and the woman ran out seeking the help of her husband and her father. Rather than leave the property, Rustil continued to try and steal items and was confronted by the 3 occupants. Richard Thompson, prosecuting, said they attempted to restrain the defendant but she punched and kicked all 3 during the melee. She then picked up a sharp plastic object and stabbed the husband in the shoulder. She then ran into the kitchen and picked up a knife and waved it around. The occupants told her they would let her leave if she put down the knife. She did so, but they grappled with her once more. The husband received a stab wound in his shoulder, while the wife suffered a bruised and swollen face. The woman's father suffered an injury to his hand. In an impact statement one of the victims said, "I do not feel safe in my own home. I feel scared and frightened and I have been in a lot of pain. I feel confused, as if my mind is elsewhere. I feel I want to move away. I now feel under threat and scared someone else will assault us." When interviewed, Rustil claimed she entered the flat by accident and claimed the occupants assaulted her. In committing the aggravated burglary, Rustil had both breached a community order and her bail conditions. David Godfrey, in mitigation, said, "My client is appalled and disgusted by what she has done and regrets it. She was in a spiral and using all different kinds of narcotics. She was on a fast track to an early grave. Everything she did was geared towards her next fix." Her family is actually glad she was remanded because they were fearing a knock on the door telling them she was no longer here. "My client has a young boy who lives with her mum and she knows she has to sort her life out so he will still have a mum. She has been addressing her drug addiction in prison and has been progressing well." Recorder Langdale had little sympathy for Rustil. He told the defendant it was lucky no one had suffered more serious injuries. "Despite having spooked the occupants in the flat you continued to stay there," he said. "You were thoroughly and disgracefully violent to all 3 occupants. You threw punches and kicks and then picked up a sharp piece of plastic and tried to stab one of them in the neck which could have been fatal. You then went to the kitchen and armed yourself with a knife. It is lucky for all involved no one suffered more serious injuries. You had to be physically dragged from the property." When interviewed, through a prepared statement you just told more lies and blamed the victims for assaulting you. "I accept you have had an extremely difficult life, but that is no excuse for what you did that day." Recorder Langdale noted this was Rustil's second offense of extreme violence, having smashed a bottle in someone's face when she was younger. He said he considered whether she was classed as a dangerous offender, but said the length of time between the 2 violent offenses saved her from being classed as such. He said, "Not only was this burglary a house invasion, but you attacked the occupants and drew weapons. When you decided to attack them you did not care a jot what harm you caused." He sentenced Rustil to 8 years in prison for the aggravated burglary. She was handed 12 months for each of the other burglaries which will run concurrently. She was also given a 5-year restraining order, meaning she cannot approach any of the victims in that time.